Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the complainer of free gifts himself, LeRon Dawkins.
What's poppin'?
Complaining about free gifts. You know, a bunch of people are paying scalpers for those things.
It was not a complaint. It was not a complaint, dude.
It's on the tape. I have it on tape. Check our social media and our YouTube channel later this week for
it was not a complaint.
Full proof. Also joining us is Stephanie Klimov. Hello.
Hey, it's all right. I'm nursing my ego.
See, look what you did, LeRon. Look what you did.
I'm gonna go to bed crying.
You hurt our co-host. You're embarrassing our guest.
Stephanie, this had nothing to do with you. You know, I'm just gonna shut my mouth. I'm gonna make it worse if I say anything else.
He says he's gonna shut his mouth, but he's gonna keep talking.
He's
just gonna keep talking.
We love you, LeRon.
Our guest tonight is the head of Boss Rush Entertainment. Great writer, great reviewer. Movie marathon reviews. Great idea. I don't know whose idea it was, but I'm assuming it was yours. But it was great.
It was mine.
Is Mark Pereira. That's how you say it, right? Pereira?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I meant to ask you before we started, but LeRon just kept talking, and then I forgot. So
he just was complaining about free gifts. I understand.
Free amiibo, guys. Just I want to throw this out there. Free amiibo, the Metroid amiibo that everybody's looking for. LeRon here complaining. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Great. You want to tell everybody what you write about on our website, bossrush.net, before we get into the show?
I mean, I write about all sorts of things, but I'm like you said, I'm the lead on the entertainment side, so I've been doing this series movie marathon reviews. So in the lead up to the release of Spider-Man No Way Home, I think December 17th or something like that, I'm watching one Spider-Man movie a week and then putting a review out, usually around Friday, if I'm on top of my game. So this week I'm watching Spider-Man 3.
Ooh.
Tobey Maguire.
Nice.
Which I've seen before, but I started, and the first 30 minutes of it are a fantastic movie. It's really good, and then I'm just waiting for the steep decline.
Yeah. You know what, LeRon? You know what Mark would be perfect for when we bring it back? Is standard def.
Yes. Oh, yes. Hell yes.
Because we're aiming more towards like it's going to be like entertainment / retro style show. And these older movies are going to be a big part of it. Older in quotes. 2007 this movie came out. It's old.
Something like that, right?
Old.
Ancient.
Yeah. So also I'm also aiming it to fix the huge issue of me not seeing any popular movies from like the 80s or 90s really. So
you're hopeless.
Me too. I haven't. That's why I started these movie marathons for myself. I'd never seen an Indiana Jones film till last year. So
hey, wait, huh?
Look, it's okay. Look, Mark, it's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you.
Indiana Jones.
Thank you.
Last Crusade, my third favorite movie of all time, but I will forgive you. Okay, because there are plenty of movies that I've never seen. So
you chose poorly.
Wait. The number one Indiana Jones fan here in Boss Rush is actually giving you a pass. I feel like he has a brain tumor right now. There's something going on.
I mean, I might. It's fine. It'll go away.
All right.
I stepped into something I didn't realize I was stepping into.
Hold on. One more time for the people out there in the Twitch chat. That was not a complaint. I just voiced my disappointment. Look, here's gonna be happy if I get triggered tonight.
Look, I'm gonna name 5 popular movies from the 80s and 90s I've never seen, and then we're gonna move on, and nobody's gonna say a word. Okay, LeRon? I'm looking at you. Goonies, Karate Kid, Back to the Future, Alien, and what was the other one? I forget. It's probably something popular.
Alien was not in the 80s.
I don't care.
You said 80s and 90s, right?
Just because you were standing in line in 1975 when it came out, LeRon, doesn't mean...
Oh...
1975 is when I came out. Not that came out. Not that came out.
I was gonna say.
What is happening?
This is what happens when Corey and I are on a show together. This is what happens.
That was a good one, though.
Yeah.
That was good, though. Couldn't even time it better if we wrote it.
Yeah.
See, this is why there's no
pod
doc.
clip right there. That's all
Really?
you need is that pod clip right
Yeah,
there.
just that. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Ridley Scott's Alien came out in 79. I'm looking it up right now. Yep, 79.
Oh, man, that was a good one.
Corey, if it makes you feel better, I haven't seen any of those films either.
It does make me feel better. Thank you. It makes me feel a lot
What?
better, actually.
The movies he ran off, or
Yeah,
the.
I've not seen them.
Oh man.
Hmm.
Are you guys even qualified to be in Boss Rush?
I mean, I started as a Nintendo podcast, okay, so
Oh, that explains everything now.
it does. It does. So I posted in the Discord the other day. I was like, I'm feeling the itch to play Monster Hunter Rise for some reason. LeRon's like, download the
Here we go.
download the PC demo. I'm like, no, nerd. I'm gonna play on this $300 device, the inferior version, just out of spite now. Out of spite.
Stephanie, will you play Monster Hunter Sunbreak with me when you get your Stream Deck? Because
Steam Deck?
the Steam Deck. I'm sorry, the Steam Deck. Because here's the cool thing. Because I was thinking about this day. You know what? You know what you can do with the Steam Deck that you cannot do with the Switch? You can go outside and play on the internet.
I mean, theoretically, people are playing Metroid on Steam or on emulators now. So I mean, whatever.
True.
You jerks.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
why
I
we're not
definitely
getting
will.
a sequel, because you're all pirating it. You jerks.
You mean the 0.03% that did not pay for a copy of the game are going to cause a sequel to not happen?
Look, Metroid's not that popular. That is a low percentage.
You know what? And by the way, because it seems like I got into trouble a couple of weeks ago when I talked about the thing for emulation and stuff like that. I just want to make something very clear. Like, I don't support software piracy. I don't.
Hold it. That's a topic tonight. It's my
is it?
topic.
Okay.
It's my topic
Oh,
tonight.
okay, cool.
So-
Yeah, I'll hold it.
So
Stop
hold it.
pirating the topic.
Yeah, LeRon.
Good one.
Cheesy. Yeah.
It works though. It works.
Everybody likes good cheese.
Don't worry. I'll wait for us to get to that topic, then I'll just hijack the whole thing.
That's fine.
Sounds good.
Anyways, Mark, I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
You've been floating around our chat for about 3 or 4 weeks now, so trying to get you on. So it's finally happened.
You're a hot celebrity.
Yeah,
Yes.
people
I
want
need
you.
to ride this high for as long as it lasts.
You're like James Bond.
Finally.
Great movie, by the way. I finally saw it. Great.
So you liked it.
I did. We can
What do
talk
you think
about.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it. Okay.
We're gonna get there. Just want to get the housekeeping out of the way. I'm gonna do it without reading anything. So if I mess up, it's LeRon's fault. He didn't make me a doc. This is the Boss Rush Podcast, the flagship show of BossRush.net, where each and every week we come together with our friends from around the internet to talk about video games, entertainment, and everything we love about them. If you like what we do, you can check out BossRush.net for all of our shows, our content, our written reviews, and other cool things. You can follow us on Twitter at BossRushNetwork. You can email the show at BossRushNetwork@gmail.com. And if you listen on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and review. If you want to head on over to our YouTube channel, we'd appreciate that as well. Give us a subscribe. Unsubscribe to LeRon if you're there. The link is right there. Exodus 803. Anyways, we're going to jump into what we've been doing with our lives, what we've been playing, watching, doing. Mark, you're our guest. We're going to go your way first. What are you doing with your life?
That's an excellent question. No, I mean, I've been playing Metroid Dread. So I've tried to like Metroid my whole life and have never liked Metroid. Sorry. It just wasn't for me, but Metroid Dread, everything clicked for me and I love the game, but I am terrible at it. So I am slowly making my way through it.
I feel your pain there.
And then I'm watching Spider-Man movies right now. I just started Spider-Man 3 today.
Yeah, is it as bad as everybody says it is? Because I remember really liking it, except for like a couple times where Harry Osborn speaks. and it just is like really cringy.
The first 30 minutes of it, which is as far as I've gotten, are fantastic. Like the graphics are fantastic, the story's fantastic, the plot's really good, it's really tight, like tightly wound. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But I do remember there are some very cringy scenes later on. But it's been a minute since I've seen it. So
I remember it was a big deal when Topher Grace was cast as Venom because that
Right.
70s show was big, and he left that show to do movies, and this was like his first big role outside of that show. And I remember a lot of people not liking him as Eddie Brock, but I don't remember because it's been so long since I've seen those movies.
Yeah, he's shown up just a little bit, so I don't quite know yet, but I've been enjoying it. And I've also been watching, I mean, I'm behind the times on this one, but I've been watching Squid Game.
I hear it's weird.
I'm on episode 4. It's pretty fantastic.
So what's the deal with that show? What is it? I don't even know what it is. I just saw people in PlayStation masks. That's all I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. So people are competing to win an astronomical amount of money, and they're playing children's games to win the money, but you lose and you die.
Oh,
is essentially the game. There's a whole lot more to it than that, and I don't think that's a spoiler. I think that's pretty. I don't know.
Yeah. I know it's probably a very bad generalization, but people have been trying to tell me it's kind of like a Hunger Games, but
Right.
obviously not the same. But
Right.
I get very wary when people compare it to something else. But
Yeah, I mean, that's the closest thing that I would compare it to is if you had to compare it to something, it's Hunger Games, but it's very bizarre. It's very tense, and there's like there's a mystery going on, and it's just the characters are great, and it's not really like anything I've ever seen. So it's pretty good.
yeah.
cool. Hunger Games, man. What a moment in time those movies were.
Yeah.
And books and whatever else. Man. Wow. Cool.
I was more of a Maze Runner person.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I don't remember Maze Runner. I didn't see it, so I'm assuming it's like you run through a maze and you have to get through the maze or you die or something. That's what I'm assuming.
That's kind of what the premise of the first movie was, but there was something a little bit darker going on.
There's more than one?
They made 3 movies. There was
jeez.
if I'm not mistaken, there was 4 books, but there was 3 movies.
Yeah,
I
can't remember it, but I did read the book. Sorry, that's all.
was also big on the I Am Number 4, even though that only got 1 movie. Yeah, I think that whole book series has like 9 books or something.
Cool. Well, LeRon, since you're already speaking, what are you doing with your life?
Well, as you guys know, I just completed Metroid Dread, and I even wrote a review about it. Yes, I did. Other than that, I kind of took a little bit of time to deflate because Metroid dominated my existence for like a good solid week. So I kind of took a break, which means unfortunately no Dead Space streaming was happening. While all that was going on, which I'll be back on that. I promise. I promise. No matter what time, no matter when, I will beat all the games. Even if that means it's no longer October. And then beyond that, just been have you guys heard the show Only Murders in the Building on Hulu?
Yeah, my wife's watching it.
Is that the one with the is that Martin Short?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez.
I almost said Steve Harvey.
Who said Steve Harvey?
I said I almost said Steve Harvey.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to get Hulu back just to watch that.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I was watching it one night just on a whim, just something to have on while I was like eating dinner or whatnot, and got hooked off the first episode.
Nice.
And yeah, so the finale just happened last night, but I'm waiting for my boyfriend so we can watch it together.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww. So cute.
Yeah, hopefully he's not watching because, like the way I said that just now, makes it seem like it's his fault that I haven't watched the finale yet, and that's not it.
I
That's
would
not it.
I would
We
laugh
just kind of
hysterically if he started watching it without you.
oh that there's always that possibility, but we kind of made it a Friday night thing, like a pizza and chill night, and we watched 2 episodes.
Man, pizza sounds good right now, actually.
Mhm.
I ate dinner at like 4 o'clock because I went and, well, I'll get there, but I went and saw 007 with my dad today. And it's like one of our things that we do every time a 007 movie comes out, we go see it. And we were afraid we weren't going to get to see this one in theaters because, well, COVID. But we did. And it was good. So, anyways. Is that it, LeRon? Is that all?
Yeah, that's it. I've been pretty boring this week.
Yeah. Well, this week. Stephanie, what are you doing with your life?
I've been pretty boring too. As far as what I've been playing, I don't know if I'm even halfway through Metroid Dread, but I'm deep into Metroid Dread, and I'm still playing through the medium on my Xbox. I actually got Far Cry 6, and I was going to play it right before I went to New Hampshire, and then I completely, once again, forget that it takes like 18 or whatever hours to download the thing, even with the disc. So I was very frustrated that I had to leave it and go to New Hampshire without getting to play it. I certainly wasn't going to lug that expensive box to a broken down lodge where it could break or be stolen. So
That's fair.
that's that for now. So I hope to hop into Far Cry 6 in addition to just Metroid Dread and the medium. When I mentioned New Hampshire, I was on vacation. Didn't really go very far, again, other than New Hampshire. I did a little bit of cleaning. Actually, it reminded me that I started listening to the latest episode of Arsenal X, and you guys were talking about purses.
We were. We were also talking about girls' jeans with no pockets, so.
But it struck a chord with me because I would get so mad every time I put on pants, and then I try to shove my hand in the pockets and they're sewn shut. I'm like, what kind of cruel joke is this? I have a very deep-seated anger towards whoever made these pants. It's cruel. Like, we should be able to put things in our pockets. And I also refuse to lug around a gigantic purse because every time you need something, that one thing you need is at the very bottom corner. But I will say that I'm not the best person to talk to about what's in a woman's purse because I almost never have a purse because I don't like carrying extra stuff. So I just have this little wristlet that has all my credit cards and my cash and my phone. I hate purses. I have like 4 that are collecting dust in my closet.
We almost asked you to come on that show on Sunday, but then we were like, "Oh, it's like a half hour before the show starts. Maybe she's probably busy." So,
well, I guess I wouldn't have that much to add. I will say I am pro pockets for women, and purses are overrated.
Noted. I'm gonna write that down and just send it to Stoy. So, pockets are useful.
Corey, we are looking forward to hearing more about this 007 movie you've been watching with your dad.
Let me tell you, when I saw that runtime was like almost 3 hours, I was like, oh boy. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a long movie. But it didn't feel like 3 hours. So, I mean, it was, man, it was really good. It was a nice bow on the Daniel Craig kind of saga of 007. It started out kind of slowish, and I was like, is this gonna be this the whole movie? And then, like, obviously it opens up and it's just action scene, like what's happening, here's what's happening. Also, I was really disappointed that Ana de Armas wasn't in it more. Like, they kind of promoted her as like one of the main characters in the movie, and she was only in it for like 15 minutes.
Yep. I thought, like, when they parted ways the first time, like, oh, she's gonna swing by around at the end, and no, like, never again. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I thought she was gonna be secretly like almost like another 00 agent, because I knew going in, who's the actress that the black actress in the movie that I forget what her name is, but she's the new 007, right? Because Bond is retired in this movie, and I thought she was gonna be like either her sidekick or like another 00 or something. Like, I really thought that she was going to be in it more, and she just wasn't. So, But I really loved it. I thought the whole storyline with Madeline was a cool like twist to the the tried and true James Bond, womanizing kind of motif, and it was very good. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit pre-show, Stephanie, last week, but the ending was like, it was an I can't believe they did that ending.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they did it.
Right?
And there's no end credit scene.
Yeah, that's also say. Just wait to see the end. I would love to know what you think. I didn't for the most part see it coming. It was pretty shocking to me.
I didn't see it coming either. I thought, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I can't believe that
y'all about to make me.
Yeah, y'all are tiptoeing very closely too.
Yeah. All right. We'll change real quick. I really liked Rami Is it Malik or Malik? Am I?
I think it's Rami Malek.
Yeah,
Rami Malek.
Yeah,
he made such a really great villain. He's so creepy. I love it. So good.
Yeah, and he was really good. I liked the whole angle of the kind of like silent kind of I can control you with the it was really cool. It was such a good movie, and like the Russian scientist guy really reminded me of Boris from GoldenEye in like a really fun way. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. If there was a new 007 game, I'd be this guy, because I was always Boris in GoldenEye. I was waiting for him to say I'm invincible, but he didn't say it, so it would have been a nice touch. But yeah, just like the Aston Martin at the beginning, and just I love the car scenes. I think this one had probably the best car scenes in any of the Craig movies. It was just really good. If you're into action movies, I know like Bond is kind of like not what it used to be really in terms of like pop culture, right? But if you're into action movies, and Daniel Craig is probably my favorite Bond, I would say for sure, especially this run of movies. I actually rewatched Skyfall and Spectre leading up to this movie, and it's just like a nice cohesive ending, because like Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace kind of go together. I mean, they all tell like an overarching story, but like you can clearly see that Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace go together, and then Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die all go together, and it was really nice to see like a trilogy of films tell an overarching story, and really see Bond's kind of humanity come out. And I'm gonna be sad when the next Bond movie comes out and Daniel Craig is not Bond. I will say that. So I'm
excited to see it. My dad and I have been rewatching the Daniel Craig movies. We're actually this week gonna watch Spectre, and then we're gonna go see No Time to Die. So I'm pumped to see it.
I know a lot of people didn't really care for Spectre. I love Spectre. I think Spectre is like one of the best Craig movies. Quantum Solace is the weakest, I would say, for sure.
For sure.
I still think Casino Royale is the best Daniel Craig movie. But Skyfall and Spectre are like really, really up there too. So, and this one is a nice cap. So if you're interested at all in seeing this movie, I highly recommend it. It was so good. So good. But that's what I've been watching. Oh, I also watched the Rampage movie on HBO Max.
Okay.
I watched half of it because I was like, and I fell asleep while I was watching it. But I don't know. I wanted to watch something because like, not to get like, whatever. I got some news last week that I'll tell you guys off camera, but like I just wanted something that was like mindless and fun, and just, well, The Rock is fun to watch, I guess, and I watch giant animals beat each other up, and well, I don't know, I kind of was liking the vibe of it, and then I fell asleep, and then I didn't go back and finish it, but it was fun what I watched, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've been on the fence with that because I loved Rampage as a kid, and not that I expect this movie to be close to anything to that video game that had minimal plot, but I was like, oh, it has The Rock in it. I don't know.
Yeah. The Rock is an enjoyable human being to watch. I know he's The Rock, and he's literally in everything now. He's even he even came out with a rap song apparently.
Yeah.
With Tech Nine and a couple other people.
Yeah.
But like,
And it wasn't bad.
no, it was not bad at all, actually. But it was just like, man, that he's an enjoyable human being to watch. So that's Shazam or the Black Adam trailer that they showed at DC Fandom. Man, wow, kind of want to see it.
That's gonna be awesome. I think.
Yeah. But other than that, I've been making my way slowly through Metroid Dread. I've been playing Destiny. Surprise. Also still slogging through Sable, and I hate it. I don't know why I'm punishing myself. But it's okay. Oh, Tetris Effect Connected, also very good. The music's very good. So, that's it. That's all I've been playing. Anybody else have anything to say on this before we move to... We're going to go to Mark's topic first since he's our guest.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got two options for topics because one of them requires sound clips. So if I can't do sound clips, I can move to the second one.
You're spoiling us, Mark.
I
Love
know.
this.
I know.
Well, I just I wanted to make sure I did it right. So can do I just, if I want to play a sound clip, how does that work?
I don't know. That's a good question. LeRon, how does it work?
Come on, IT guy, help.
I just hope you have a good microphone.
Okay, well then I'll do the second one.
Aww.
Aw.
I'll bring. I mean,
how this need to work out was Corey would have needed to have, like, since Corey is broadcasting this with OBS, Corey would have needed to have the sound clips ahead of time.
Oh, I would need to be prepared, is what you're saying.
And then he would have just had to incorporate them onto the stream.
Gotcha.
That sounds like a lot of work, LeRon.
Then I'll save this.
I'm never that prepared.
You asked me how it was done. Like and I'm not even the best at OBS.
Okay, so my follow-up option, which is no less fun than the other one. So we've got this December, we've got Spider-Man No Way Home coming out, and that's going to deal supposedly with the multiverse. Supposedly, I mean, in the trailer we see Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus again, so we know that there's some pulling in from other Spider-Man movie universes. And then at DC Fandom, they released the first look at The Flash, which will have Michael Keaton reprising his role as Bruce Wayne and Batman. And so my question is, with Spider-Man No Way Home and The Flash both dealing with this concept of the multiverse, and now before both of those movies are out, which ones do y'all think is going to handle the concept of the multiverse, and which one do you think has the most, I guess, sort of fan worthy content to pull from?
Well,
how is DC and Marvel going to handle the multiverse? How do y'all think that's going to go? Is my question.
I don't know much about the multiverse at all because I suck at this stuff. And like for me, I'm like, okay, well, clearly Marvel's going to handle it better because they have a huge legacy of movies that obviously, like Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, before the MCU, right? So they have the potential to do it better than DC, just because, like, yeah, DC has movies, but it's always like multiple versions of Batman and Superman. They don't have really anything else to pull from at this point, right? So, I mean, The Flash, yeah, seeing Keaton as Batman is going to be awesome, but, like, is that for a scene? Is that for, like, half the movie? Also, there's a cool image of two Flashes in the same scene, but one of them had the painted Batman costume on with just the lightning bolt spray painted on it, which was really funny. But also, I know the Spider-Man movie is a Sony movie and not a Marvel movie, even though Marvel's heavily involved, and Sony seems to not have a great track record with fans. Although the Spider-Man movies have been pretty good. I will give them that, the current ones. Also, I didn't really hate the Andrew Garfield movies, but also I'm a simpleton, so... look, it's Spider-Man fighting big CG bad guys. I don't care. I like CG blow stuff up. Like, I liked the Transformers movies. Just fire me now. So I don't know. I think Marvel has more to pull from, and they can make it more interesting. but also the more you have to pull from also could make it more complicated and you have more chances to ruin it. But they've already kind of experimented a little bit with Loki. I know Doctor Strange is opening the multiverse up big, so
Right.
I think Marvel's going to do it better just by sheer just the quality that they've shown over the last 15 years or whatever, heavily involved with the Sony stuff. I'm more interested to see what happens to Spider-Man in the multiverse after this outside the MCU, because apparently there's a scene in Venom where they're teasing stuff, but I didn't see Venom, so I don't know. I think Marvel's gonna pull it off. I think the thing is with like DC, their track record recently has been so hit or miss, and it's been mostly miss for me. I've been trying to catch up on them, right? Like Wonder Woman was okay, but it was basically they watched Captain America and they're like, oh, let's just put Wonder Woman in Captain America, and that's what I felt the movie was. The Snyder cut of Justice League was like, I was so bored. Like I was I just feel like everything DC's done has been boring, and they don't have like a clear vision of what they want to do, and they change things because they're trying to play catch up. And I wish they would just slow down. Like the Batman, right? The Batman looks awesome, but they're not trying to fit it in to catch up or anything, right? I think they're just trying to do their own thing with it. And from all accounts, Shazam was pretty good. I wish Warner Brothers and DC would just slow down and say, let's just do our own thing. Let's kind of hit reset, which I think is what the Flashpoint movie is going to be, right? It's kind of like a DCEU reset almost. So I don't know. I think DC could do something interesting, but I just don't think they have enough to pull from to make it interesting. That's my take. Sorry, guys.
No, I actually I follow that pretty well, because at first my knee-jerk reaction would be like, oh, Marvel. I mean, they've have been behind the scenes kind of setting up all these instances and possibilities for the multiverse. Everything's connected in one way, shape, or form, but it does get a bit intimidating, a bit much, and there is a possibility where it could just be a little too convoluted. But I still have high hopes for Marvel. And with DC, I kind of also feel that there have been a lot of misses for me lately, but I don't want to put my own personal thoughts about DC and Marvel into what I think. And with just knowing that Michael Keaton's come back as Batman, I think what the heck? Oh, I'm sorry, my cat's just like pulling on the back of my chair. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I think they might be able to give Marvel a run for their money this time around, because pulling in some oldies will kind of, I don't know if it's the nostalgia thing or just kind of, it just might give it that right spark to set that fire and get DC going. At least that's what I hope for. I'm really rooting for them and thinking that they this would be their chance to do things right.
Back to my point, to be fair, I've never seen Batman, the Michael Keaton Batman movie.
What?
I've never. What? The only old Batman movie I've seen is,
here we go again,
whichever one Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze. It's the only one I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Mind blown.
Good grief.
Wow.
You need to chill out. But
I mean, that's a great movie in a certain way.
Yeah, in its own flavor.
Right.
So, again, I don't know a lot. I get it. I suck. I get it, chat. I see you. I suck. I get it. But how many versions of Batman can you have in one movie, right? Like, I feel like they're just gonna keep going around in this circle. And DC cast has a great cast, right? I think the casting for all of the characters is on point. I think Ezra Miller as Flash is awesome. Like, he was the best part of Justice League by far. I think Ben Affleck looks the part of Bruce Wayne and Batman. Like, I think he looks that. I think Henry Cavill's a great Superman. Gal Gadot, like, I think they made Aquaman cool with what's his face. Like, I think they made Aquaman a character that people look at and be like, oh man, he's cool. He's cool. And oh my God, it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't want it to be like, oh, remember this Batman, remember this Batman, remember this Batman, and they can't pull from anything else, right? Unless they like CG Christopher Reeves in there at some point. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with this.
Yeah.
I just don't think they have enough history in movies to pull from. Like, you can't get Adam West back, right? Like, rest in peace. Like, it's not like you can go back to that era and get him in it, right?
Aquaman, Jason Momoa.
Jason
Thanks,
Momoa, yeah.
David Lasky.
Yeah.
On chat.
Thanks, David. I knew that. I just forgot. He's just such a cool looking guy that I just,
Yeah, I think if you look at, sorry, LeRon, I didn't give you a chance to answer, so.
Okay, so my take on this is DC may have an edge on this just because, and this is a reach though, because like if you look at the DC television universe, they've already done this.
That's what I was just gonna say.
I forgot about the TV stuff because the TV stuff has done it really well.
Yeah, exactly. From what I've heard, they've done it really well. Like, I don't really watch a lot of DC stuff. As a matter of fact, I was a big like, fan of DC stuff when Arrow and the Flash first came out, but Arrow got too drawn out for me, and I just no longer had a connection to it. And the Flash made the cardinal sin of like the first season, the season finale for the first season was great. They start you off in the middle of, they start you off on the season premiere, the second season, in the middle of what was the season, and I was like, wait, huh? Like, I'm one of those people. You cannot do that to me as a writer. You cannot do that to me. You can't just time skip and then don't even tell us that, oh, we're gonna let you know how it fixed itself from the finale, but you gotta wait. No. So that immediately like killed it for me. And then but going back to the whole thing, like from everything I've been told about, like the DC television universe did a fantastic job of doing the multiverse, because they had the Legends of Tomorrow series that kind of kicked the whole thing into high gear. So I feel like if they do it correctly and they pay attention to what was done on the television side, they'll be all right. But we also know that they don't take the television side of things seriously, because they did take the television side of things seriously, they would have cast some of those actors, and put them in the Justice League. That would have been easy.
Ezra Miller did show up in the Flash in the show.
Oh, I know he did show up in the show. Yeah, I know that. But he wasn't one. He was not an original cast member.
No. No, I know.
Yeah,
I
but because man, like the fact that you had like practically every person that played Superman on the TV shows, like in that whole like crossover event, that was phenomenal. Even though like Dean Cain's a jackass, but whatever. So in my opinion, I think DC has the edge, but I have a funny feeling that Marvel is just going to take it and run with it, because like Loki is like the prime example. And the events of Avengers Endgame, like those are prime examples of a whole multiverse theory thing, because technically they kind of already did that multiverse theory thing starting with Endgame, because like they did that time travel stuff, and we saw how things were unraveling. That scene where Bruce Banner goes to New York during the Chitauri incident and runs into the was the Ancient One?
The Ancient One, right?
Yeah. And she was like, no, this is what happens here. And then we saw bits and pieces of that as the other Avengers were traveling in time. We saw what was going on and how the timeline was unraveling. And then Loki just took it to like they just multiplied it times 100. Yeah. So I have a funny feeling that Marvel's gonna be the one that basically performs.
Yeah.
But DC, Warner Brothers and DC, if they pay attention to the stuff they've already done, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be entertaining for everybody. Like the DC movie universe is not my favorite. Like the chat said, there's been some hits or misses there. Like I love the first Suicide Squad movie. I haven't seen the second one yet, so I don't know. I actually enjoyed I actually enjoyed Man of Steel, even though I had questions about Man of Steel. Like why does Krypton look like, like prehistoric, like
I liked Man of Steel too, but
yeah, I liked it. I liked it. Never gave the Justice League a chance. I love the first Wonder Woman movie. The second one, ooh, I don't know if I just need to rewatch that and come at it from a different angle, because I did not walk away from that movie enjoying it.
Yeah. To your point, LeRon, I wonder if Marvel opened the multiverse stuff up too quickly with Loki, right? They just they didn't do oh, here's one thing, here's two things. There's seriously, you look at if you watch the end of Loki and the timeline, just it's like a it's just everything.
It's like spilling a bag of marbles on the floor and just watching them go everywhere.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's going to cause problems later down the line, or if they're just going to be like, look, here's what happened, whatever, we're going to tie it all up nice.
No, because you know what, the way they fix this is just like how they fix an Endgame. It's time travel.
Yeah. That's
honestly, when it comes to television and movies, that's your ultimate fixer right there. Time travel is your ultimate fixer. Like, have you ever watched an episode of a TV show, like a sci-fi TV show, and the episode was just going batshit crazy, and you're like, how are they going to resolve this by the end of it? And then boom, it's a time loop or something. That's exactly how all this stuff is going to wrap up in the MCU. Because if it does, the only other way it can wrap up like that is divine intervention, and we're already seeing the Celestials are showing up.
Yeah.
Is that what the Eternals is about? The Celestials?
Yeah.
I'm lost now.
Well, I mean, we already got a hint of the Celestials because see, here's my nerdism.
Guardians 2, I know had
Guardians 1 though, that was the very first mention of Celestials, because when they go to that planet, what was it called, Nowhere?
Oh yeah, with that big.
It was a skull. Yeah, and they mentioned the Celestials right there, but no one really pays attention to that unless you're a comic book fan. And I was sitting there because I have a big history in X-Men, the X-Men comic books. I know for sure, when you do something to a Celestial, usually the rest of them show up. So I was actually shocked that we hadn't seen the Celestials up to this point.
But they murdered one in Guardians 2, right? That was Kurt Russell's character, right?
Was Ego an actual Celestial? I can't remember.
I think he said he was a Celestial. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he said he was.
Oh, see, so basically, the Marvel MCU didn't pay attention to the comic book rules, because usually when a Celestial is killed or gravely injured, the rest of them show up and they basically equalize everything.
Well, maybe they're just really far away. Now they're coming. They're just now getting here.
That's not true. That's not true. Because
space travel.
Because we find out in one of the X-Men comics that Apocalypse is actually a Celestial, and young Thor, in a drunken stupor, with the axe, basically almost cleaved them in half and stuff. And the Celestials showed up and they almost put the world into another prehistoric ice age.
Maybe no one liked Ego. He was kind of a jerk.
Also, Ego is Cyclops' dad in one of the comic runs, not Peter Quill. Just want to throw that out there.
They kind of screwed that up.
I know Peter they
Quill
did.
So yeah, my vote is Marvel has the edge, but DC might surprise them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think DC is going to come out the winner, because I feel like the DC movies of late have been so all over the place, but there was a time when DC movies were really good. And yes, it's just Batman and Superman, but I mean, can you imagine, I think Marvel's going to do scattershot, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Hugh Jackman and, Patrick Stewart, and just have all of these people. I have a feeling that they're going to do that. And it's just going to be a lot, and that's going to be really cool, but it's going to be quick little cameos. And I feel like DC is going to pick really intentional a couple of callbacks to other DC films, but have them be in larger roles.
Mm-hmm.
This is just my hunch. And so, like, you've got Michael Keaton, who's rumored to be not just a big part of the Flash, but like a big part of the DC universe moving forward. And so I think DC's gonna surprise us by focusing on a few quality cameos and tiebacks to when they used to be good. I mean,
which is how I think they get fans' trust back, right? Is making,
Sure.
make these cameos matter, give us a few quality movies to build
Right.
that trust back, right? Because, like I said before, like, they're trying to play catch up. Well, they don't need to play catch up. They just need to do their own thing. And I think this is the way that they earn people's trust back. Like, okay, if Michael Keaton's going to be a big part of the DCEU moving forward, or at least like, a bigger part of it, does that mean we get a Batman Beyond movie, which would be cool?
Right.
Or
Right. And you don't even need to have. I mean, I get the point that there's so many Batman and Superman movies or whatever. That's really all they have to pull from. But imagine, like, in the Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow shows up in every movie. Imagine if Cillian Murphy is in The Flash as Scarecrow, and so all that does is it ties the DCEU to the most successful iteration of Batman, who everyone loves. And then it's just like, hey, yeah, we've got crap films now, but remember when we made really great ones? Well, now they're all part of the same story. And so now all of a sudden it's like they're not playing catch up. They've caught up because they've been doing it for years. They just are now, it's all in the same thing.
I was just thinking about something while you were talking, Mark. What if they use this to actually like bring cohesion to the entire universe? Like, what if they use this as the center point and everything going forward is like that? What if this is finally their way to actually fix what's wrong with the DC movie universe?
Yeah, get rid of what doesn't work and keep what does, right? So at the end of whatever the stakes are for Flashpoint, at the end of it, you've got a universe where, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn exists, but not some of the other bad stuff from the Suicide Squad that didn't really work. Or you've got a universe where, there is a Batman, but it's not necessarily Ben Affleck, it's Michael Keaton, because that one worked and Ben Affleck's didn't work. Or Henry Cavill can continue to be Superman, and you get rid of the movie where he's killing people, right? Which is not in character. So it's a really great way to retcon a lot of the mistakes that they've made.
Wait, there was a movie where he was killing people?
Didn't he kill Zod?
In Man of Steel, he
Well,
killed
no,
Zod,
well, that was
he just
that
didn't
was
care about collateral damage in that.
yeah. Well, that was a Well, okay, there we go. I was about to say
That's why he's not going out and attacking people. I'm just saying he didn't care about.
Yeah, because like he was kind of maneuvered into killing Zod.
Yes. Let me rephrase what I said. He accidentally is killing people, but that's not the comic book Superman. I mean, he's supposed to be, protecting people. So anyway, it could be. I think DC has a chance to finally get in the same leagues as Marvel.
Yeah, I hope so. Just because, like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I told my dad today after we watched Bond, it was so nice to just watch something that wasn't like Marvel's bleeding all my eyeballs. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like we watched something that wasn't superhero-y or just, I don't know. I'm a Disney fan. Like, I'm a big Disney fan. I'm a big Marvel fan. Sometimes I just need a break, And
Yeah, didn't we bring up Marvel and franchise fatigue?
yeah, that was last week. Yeah, we did. And it's just like, man, it was so nice to see something. And like, I would really like to see a good DC movie, because like, I feel like what DC's done in the past, it's a little bit more grounded. It's a little bit more realistic. Like, I feel like the Dark Knight movies are like prime example of what I would want from Batman moving forward, right? And that's what the Batman looks like at this point, right? Is like, oh, it looks like a little bit more grounded. It's a different version of Gotham. The Riddler is scary. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I want.
Right.
So, but then I also want to look at the Flash and be like, oh, this is clearly probably going to be their version of Spider-Man. He's going to be fun. He's going to have, one-liners, just really dumb fun. So, I don't know what I want. Basically what I'm saying. I'm a simpleton. That's what I said. So that was a good topic. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was.
Thanks.
You need to come back sometime soon so we can do the one that involves sound clips because I'm very interested in what
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, I was excited about that. I mean, it's super nerdy, but
That's what we're here for. We're
See,
all
that's what
nerds.
I'm talking about.
right. So I was excited about it. So I'll be more prepared next time.
Guess we got to invite him back, guys. Darn.
Oh, right. Oh, I don't want to presume.
How dare you, sir?
How rude of me.
Rude. Stephanie, what's your topic?
Nothing, too exciting, but I was thinking about this when I was perusing through Game Pass, which I guess I'm not sure that really counts, but I want to talk a little bit about double dipping with games. Maybe not movies so much, so maybe I'll stick with just what I know with video games. I came from a time where I really could only afford maybe just one game a year, and I don't know what happened. It's not like I'm making more money, but as the number of my systems number of systems or consoles expanded, and certain games I want physical copies of. Like my copy of Metroid Dread was supposed to arrive on release day, and for whatever reason, Target delivered it late, and I was this close to buying,
The digital.
e-copy, the digital copy, and maybe just like, I don't know, keep the physical copy sealed. I don't know. And again, I know it's not double dipping per se, but there are plenty of games where maybe I bought on the Switch or even my PS4, and then I hop on Game Pass when I got my Xbox. I'm like, oh, it was there. Maybe I should. But anyway, so I'm kind of babbling to start off this topic, but I'd like to know, like, have you guys double dipped with games? Was it intentional or accidental? And is there a benefit to having maybe a digital and physical? Obviously not all the time, because that's costs more money, but
I just see Monster Hunter running across LeRon's face right now.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I pretty much bought. Up until a certain point, I pretty much actually, currently, I bought multiple copies of the same Monster Hunter game across different platforms. But there was a time when if I bought the Monster Hunter game, like it usually got bought again, for a different platform. And for a good little while, basically when it was just only on Nintendo DS, that was the only time I didn't double dip. But we're double dipping again because PS4 and the Xbox One version of Monster Hunter World came out, and I bought the PC version. But then, of course, I stayed on the PC version. Monster Hunter Rise is out on the Switch right now. PC version's coming. I will buy it one more time, but I will continue to play it just on the PC and stuff like that. But yeah, I am one of those people. Like, I have doubled and triple dipped. Remember a little game called Street Fighter Alpha? I've bought Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 so many times across different platforms. I am almost ashamed to admit, that, like I was stupid and spent money like that. But, the thing was back when, like, for example, when Street Fighter Alpha was a popular game, you had different consoles that had different degrees of power. Sure, if you want to play the best version of Street Fighter Alpha, the first game, you bought it for Sega Saturn, but you spent a little bit more money, and by a little bit more money, I mean $70, and you buy the 4 megabyte expansion pack for the Saturn, and it's arcade perfect. Yeah, so I was doing dumb stuff like that. I was actually importing games from Japan because they were the more superior version, and even though I already had the US version of the game and stuff like that. Yeah, I double dipped like a madman. As a matter of fact, I already said I'm buying a physical copy of Metroid Dread real soon because I just want to have the box art and all that stuff.
Box art is cool.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah, I'm one of those people. Yeah, I do that cardinal sin of double dipping. And I don't even know why I call it cardinal sin because in all honesty, like it's more units that push the sales and stuff like that. Now I know I throw a lot of shade, for guys who have like 4 Nintendo Switches. I know 2 people that do that personally, not just people on Boss Rush, but I know 2 people in real life that actually have 4 Switches, and I was like, dude, like this is excessive. You don't even have a wife and kids. Why do you have this many Nintendo Switches? So I don't really call it a cardinal sin, but like sometimes like the level of excessiveness is kind of crazy, and it took me a long time to rein that in.
Yeah. I think for me, if there the two main reasons for me to want to get an extra copy is if there's something with exceptional box art, or I feel like, I don't know, might hold some value. Maybe less so for that. Also, if I already have the existing game, and I hate to say like on the Switch or something, but then I know the game's coming out on Xbox. I'm just making it up. I will probably be like, I love you, Switch, but I might want, depending on the game, I don't know. But then I'd have to start the game all over. So, but anyway.
That's one of the things that actually got me out of that habit of doing it. I got tired of starting over again. You know, some games you absolutely have no problem starting over, and there's other games it's like, why did I just do this?
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, a lot of games now are starting to do like the cross save stuff, and I know Monster Hunter is not one of them. Sorry, LeRon.
You just don't know. Like, I've actually got a whole bunch of ammunition because I'm getting ready to write everything we know about Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak real soon here.
Yeah. So for me, like, Destiny was a big one because they didn't have cross-play or cross-save, and I have Destiny 2 for 3 different platforms, and because that's just where my friends were, right? Like, if I want to play with my PlayStation friends, I have to play on PlayStation. But now with the cross-save and cross-play activated and stuff, like, I can play anywhere right now. I can even play on my phone at this point.
It's so nice. Isn't that so nice?
It is. I can play on Stadia if I wanted to. Not that anybody is, but... So, I mean, Destiny was a big one, but also, like, a lot of the times, Stephanie, you brought up Game Pass, and a lot of times I will download a game on Game Pass and play it, especially indie games, and if I like the indie games, I will turn around and buy it on Switch just to support the developer and take it with me on the go, because, I mean, cloud gaming is cool and stuff, but, like, still not where, you know, you really want it to be at this point. And so the Switch, having it downloaded on my Switch is a way better experience than trying to hook a computer or hook up a controller up to my phone and trying to play it that way. But I've also double dipped a lot on other games because, like, I mean, it's a different situation. I know not everybody's in this situation, but obviously when Ed and I started Pal Block, we were playing a lot of games on Nintendo consoles that maybe weren't the best place to play third-party games, and some would argue might still not be. But I played games like, I double-dipped on games like Watch Dogs and, what other games? Oh, like Assassin's Creed and Batman and, like, all these games on the Wii U, and then I started double-dipping on games like Doom and Wolfenstein and stuff on Switch, just because we were trying to cover Switch games and stuff and Wii U games on Pal Block, and obviously not the best versions of Doom and Wolfenstein by any stretch. But yeah, I found myself double dipping stuff just for the convenience of portability and supporting indie devs, and that's where I find double dipping. Also, my entire Switch library is digital, but I do have physical copies of all the Zelda games and Xenoblade games and just games that I like in general on Switch. So I do double dip quite a bit, actually, now that I think about it. Kind of embarrassing.
I'm not sure
actually.
What you mentioned that made me think about it. Maybe it's when you mentioned cloud gaming. I don't know. But I feel like one place where I might find myself double dipping a lot more, especially as anniversaries are popping up like crazy. Like, just every year there's a major anniversary. If there are games that maybe I bought like 1 or 2 within the franchise or series, and then they come out with the anniversary collection. And the one I initially have in mind is like Kingdom Hearts or something, which that's a whole nother topic. Maybe LeRon and I will write about someday. But I know I'm going to buy the collection. I technically own, like, for example, Kingdom Hearts 3 on PS4, but I'm still going to buy the edition that has it in there. So I don't know.
The Story So Far collection, did you buy that? The whole box set?
No.
I have it for PlayStation 4, and I don't even own my PlayStation 4 anymore. So whoops.
They're throwing some sort of anniversary celebration next year. I'm sure they'll have something big.
Because it's the, 20th anniversary?
20th.
God, that makes me feel so old.
Yeah.
I was playing Kingdom Hearts 2 in college.
I have their soundtrack, and you know how it is? It's on a CD.
I know.
None of my devices have a CD thing. I don't know what to do with it.
I had to buy a disk drive to rip CDs onto my new laptop because it doesn't have a disk drive. It's like, oh my
There you
god.
go. Thank you. See, me and my vocabulary.
By the way, though, Sanctuary, it's a great song. Kingdom Hearts, it's great.
Mark, how about you? Have you ever double dipped? What do you think about it?
I mean, I'm a Nintendo fan, and I think Nintendo's one of the pillars of their business strategy is
Making you
re-releasing
buy everything all over again. Yeah.
And I gladly will every single time, because I just love the Nintendo games that I love. But short of that, I'm not a huge double dipper, not by principle, just by I typically will get the game in what I don't care so much about like graphical fidelity or frame rate or anything like that. Like if Hades came out on Switch first, so I played it on Switch. I don't care that it's on anything else now because I played it on Switch and that's where I played it. And so now when it comes to like movie, I'm a physical media person. It's very difficult for me to like. I have an Xbox Series X, and that was a very difficult decision for me to make. Series S, because it's just digital, right? And so when it comes to movies and stuff, I like to own movies on DVD and Blu-ray. But I'm a huge Batman fan, and so I own all of every Batman movie on Blu-ray and DVD, because I want to, whatever the situation, if I want to watch it, I want to be able to watch it. And so I own those digitally. I own them physically on Blu-ray and DVD. But for games, I'm not that, whatever it comes out on, if I want to play the game, I typically want to play it when it comes out and I get it on whatever platform it's on. And for me, I don't know, people might disagree with this. If it's on all three platforms, which I have all three, I'm going to get it on the Switch just because if I want to play it on my TV, I can play it on my TV. If I want to play it in my bed, I can play it in my bed. So like I said, I don't really care so much about performance or anything like that. So
okay.
That's kind of
I'm glad you brought up. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
Oh, I was just going to say that's where I kind of lean to, just because like I have two kids and my TV's usually not available. And if I'm playing while they're up, it's got to be in portable mode. Or if I'm playing something when they're in bed, it's usually something with my friends on one of the other platforms. So, I mean, it's like, it's Switch is usually where I lean for most of my games anyway now, just based on sheer availability and time and children.
Yeah. Time is so limited, right? I've got 3 kids, so my free time is so limited that if I have it, I need to be able to be flexible to play it where and when I can play it.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm also glad, Martha, you brought up movies, because it just made me realize kind of how I treat digital versus physical between movies and video games, because I miss owning a lot of DVDs. I still hoard all the DVDs that I've ever owned in my adult life, but I don't know, lately I'm just like, well, do I have the space for all the DVDs? And what do I use to put in? Like, I would use my PS4, but like, for the most part, it's like, all right, I'm just going to buy this movie digitally. I'm on Amazon Prime, buy it digitally. But when I'm playing my video games, I mean, trust me, I have a library backlog full of digital games, but I actually favor physical copies more. And I'm not sure why now, because I used to favor physical copies of movies, and I just got so used to just purchasing digitally. I'm almost kind of like, ooh, I wonder if the same thing's going to happen to me to video games someday.
Right.
I feel like digital is like the most dangerous place to like get all your games. I really do, because I feel like you can wind up basically like filling your entire library up with games and then never having any time to play them because like you don't have them just sitting there looking at you on like a shelf or something.
Hey, that's very legit. My Nintendo Switch library looks scary, and that's because I'm in that eShop buying all these games that are on sale. I'm like, oh, just one more, and just one more. But yeah.
Speaking of double dipping, every time those Resident Evil games go on sale on the Nintendo eShop, I damn near buy them all.
It's because they're like $8 always.
And I'm like, well, no, you know what? It's crazy because like games from a certain from a certain era of gaming, the PS2, the GameCube era, the Dreamcast era, and stuff like that. For some strange reason, Like I feel like those are the best games to have in a portable environment. Like God, when I mean, like certain games come out, like for those Resident Evil games are an example. I'm trying to think of one that I know I have that I really, these Kingdom Hearts games, for example. Like I'm not the big. I don't have the biggest love for Kingdom Hearts anymore right now. But there's a piece of me that wants to play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 in portable format.
Yeah, well, that cloud stuff, like it works. When it works, it's great. Because so quick story on the Switch cloud gaming stuff. I played a little bit of Control on Switch when it first came out because like they released like an hour demo, and like it played great, like 60 frames a second. It was really responsive until it wasn't, and then it just just flat out almost died on me, and then it came back and it was fine. But like that's what you're gonna get with this cloud gaming stuff, and that's why I'm just still like really sketchy about it, But yeah, LeRon, to your point, there's a bunch of like 360 era games or like original Xbox, GameCube, PS2 games. Like Kingdoms of Amalur is a great Switch portable game, or Saints Row the Third, or Stubbs the Zombie is ridiculous, or Destroy All Humans, right? Like they re-released that on Switch. It's hilarious and it's great in portable mode. Like,
man, do you know how hard Sega would step on our necks right now if they put Skies of Arcadia Legends on?
Oh my gosh,
Switch?
dude! I'd sell a kidney for that. I mean, I would have to like, God, it was funny. Was it today or yesterday? So I bought a few things on Switch, right? Like I bought Metroid, and then Tetris Effect was on sale, and then I bought the final Smash Fighter Pack. Finally, like kind of all in a row, and like we're not like poor or anything, but $120 is a lot of money to spend on stuff, right? Like, and she asked me, she's like, "What are all these Nintendo purchases?" I'm like, well, Metroid came out, so I had to buy that. And then Tetris, new version of Tetris. You know how I feel about Tetris. I had to buy that. And then something else was on sale, so I had to buy that. And then she just kind of gave me this look, and I was like, "That's it, though. I promise. For now." So,
everybody's wallet's hurting right now. Just as a side note.
Yeah.
Yeah, like over on last night's Crossroads, we were talking about how this week is like the first week in like 7 weeks where like it's not a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And so I'm sitting here thinking I do like our audience a PSA by saying, hey, like now's a good time to not pay full price for a bunch of games because there's a good sale going on in the PlayStation Store till the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay.
Frickin' Chris. Freaking Chris, like this morning in the chat, he's like, yeah, I bought these games. He lists off 7 games from the PlayStation sale, and I was like, dude, you have a problem because like in
Chris
like,
has been
like
hanging out with Ed for too long.
Yeah, in like one sense, he's like, my wife's gonna kill me if I buy any more games. And then the next day after a podcast, he's like, Chris has been on the show officially for 4 weeks. Every week, the next day after the show, I went and bought this, and that, and I was like, dude, like Hannah's gonna murder you. I think the only reason why she's keeping you alive right now is because she does not know how like she's going to be able to provide for y'all's son if she murders you. But you need to chill.
I got a email today saying that there's over 200 games on sale on Xbox right now also, and I was like,
stop telling me this.
Hey Stephanie, there's over 200 plus games on sale on Xbox right now, including Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is like $15 right now. Great game.
PlayStation's Halloween sale just started, and that's on top of the sale that's happening through the 27th.
I'm already shopping.
I can send you the pure Xbox link if you want, Stephanie, to show you which of the best games are on sale.
Everybody stop.
Oh, I'm about to throw the sale link for the Halloween sale into the chat. But for real, like like let's see something here real fast. If you want the Devil May Cry 5 plus Virgil for $21, boom, on PlayStation.
Okay, so here's one I constantly see on sale.
There you go.
Thank you, Corey. After I buy 20 more PlayStation's game, I'll hop on Xbox and buy 20 of that. It's Outlast, the first Outlast game, because I'm the biggest weenie. I don't actually prefer horror games, but I apparently have been playing through a couple. But I've watched a Let's Play of Outlast, and I'm still terrified. But it's like on sale for $4. I'm like, come on, Steph, you could do it for $4.
Right?
No spoopy games are worth $4. Pass.
I don't know if I can.
Pass. I will pass. But yeah,
There's some good games for sale here.
I know there are. There's a lot of great games for sale.
Wait, are you looking at the Xbox one? I want to
I'm
see.
looking at the one that Corey just sent.
Yeah, there's a
like,
lot.
Like last night I was telling people like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is crap. Hold on, let me pull the show notes, because Mass Effect Legendary Edition is on like one of the best sales ever for the PS4 edition, and I had to remind people, I was like, yeah, like there's only the PS4 edition, because there's no PS5 edition.
It's $32 on Xbox right now.
On PlayStation it is. Okay, on PlayStation it's $35. And then Persona 5 Royal is $21. And that's the deluxe edition.
Obviously, these are all online stuff, right? Because I got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, but I just preferred to have the physical copy of that, so I got it right. I probably paid full price for that.
I have the Steam version of it, so so I don't have a physical, unfortunately. I kind of wish I had a physical for it, but you know what? I have a physical of the original Mass Effect trilogy.
Man, the thing with... Well, we'll save that topic for a different day. I've got a whole... I don't know. Physical copy things. So...
Topics. Thank you.
Great topic. Wonderful topic. Great topics tonight, guys. God.
Hey, finger snaps. All right. Who next?
LeRon, what's your topic?
Okay. Well, going along with the whole theme of double dipping and all that stuff, I want to hear your guys' like biggest regret when it comes to gaming. And it could be a purchase. It could be a purchase you really should not have made. It could be a game series that you just got sucked into, and now you wish you'd never lost all those hours into it.
Destiny.
Like just one of your biggest regrets when it comes to gaming.
Destiny. No, I'm just kidding.
Destiny?
No, it's
really.
No, it's not a regret. It's just like I love that game so much, but like I don't have the time to like really play the game how it's supposed to be played anymore. And like I put so many hours into it, and it's just like I feel like I'm always behind in playing catch up, and it's just that feeling of excitement when you finally do a thing. But then it's also like a feeling of dread, feeling like you're behind all the time. But I've been playing with some of my friends who are kind of just like, we just kind of, play however we feel like playing at this point now. So it's not really a big deal anymore. That was more of like a joke answer. But biggest regret in gaming, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think. Somebody go.
All right. While he's thinking, I'll show you, and I'll obviously say it to the people who listen to the podcast. I'll show you what my greatest regret is.
Oh,
So for the audience, I'm holding up a physical copy of Just Dance 2021, and I tried to sell it at various yard sales, and no one would buy it. So.
No one will buy it?
No. In my defense, I didn't really buy it for me. I was dating this person at the time who had like some daughters who like just got a Switch, and they're like preteens. This is the kind of stuff that they're selling this to. So me, an idiot, I'm like, oh well, this would be a great way for us to all have fun. So I bought this Just Dance thing, and they didn't even get to play it. So I got stuck with this stupid thing. And I tried, I'm like, all right, let me just pull all the shades down. Let me just try dancing to one of them. And I probably almost threw my hip out. It was just so bad. Such a regret. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I just fell for this $60 game.
Wow.
That I can't get rid of for like even $5.
Wow.
Which, by the way, if anyone wants Just Dance 2021, if you pay me shipping, that's all I'll ask for. I'll ship it to you.
Wow.
All right, so my biggest regret for gaming, my biggest regret most of the time in my gaming is hardware related, and no, it's not a Nintendo console.
No, it's building that PC. You're like, oh, I need more RAM.
My biggest regret was actually a Sega console, the 32X.
Yeah.
Because I honestly got sold on the fact that it was going to like upgrade the existing games I had, and that the games that were released for it were going to be, well, the games that I think only like 9 games got released for it. You know, their whole bankability was on the fact that, you know, they wanted suckers like me to play my old Sega Genesis games with that thing, and, you know, be wowed, you know, and that's kind of what started me getting burnt by Sega, because I mean, you know, like I bought a Saturn, you know, I enjoyed my Saturn, but I was also one of those.
You're one of like 10 people who enjoyed their Saturn.
Yeah, well, no, because like I just started importing games, like all the good stuff was over in Japan, and that's how I did it. Like there's.
So, let's go back to the 32X real quick. Did you have a 32X and a Sega CD? Did your Genesis look like a broken Transformer?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
The funniest images of that is when you see like a Gen 1 Sega Genesis hooked up to a Sega CD, because it had that extra plate, because the Gen 1 Genesis was bigger than the Gen 2, and they had that extra plate underneath to hold the Gen 1 Genesis. You put the 32X inside, and then you put Sonic 2 inside Sonic and Knuckles and put it in your 32X.
Yeah, it literally looked like a Frankenstein's monster, and I was one of those guys. I was one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. And then you plugged it into Sega TV. Remember Sega TV?
Okay, I remember Sega TV, but I did not have Sega TV.
I wanted Sega TV so bad, and my parents told me that I wasn't allowed to have it. And to me, I just thought you just plugged it into the wall, and like it was just like getting TV, but it was like really like, oh no, you have to subscribe, and it's like costs money. And like as an adult, I now understand paying for 75 subscription services that Sega CD or Sega TV was like the Netflix of Sega at that point. Anyways, sorry, continue. I interrupt a lot.
Oh no. Basically, like the whole 32X debacle like started me down the dark path of like realizing that Sega, you know, is not my friend. and so even though I did shed some real tears when Sega was like, we're getting out of the hardware business, you know, after the Dreamcast, because the Dreamcast, I still feel like the Dreamcast was their greatest success in the hardware business. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? At least now Sega can't like pull a fast one on me anymore with their hardware.
I wish there would be like a Dreamcast collection on the current platforms, because like I miss Jet Grind Radio. I miss, you know, I mean, I know like they re-released Shenmue. I don't really miss those games, but like Sonic Adventure and stuff was cool, and just I played the crap out of my Dreamcast, man. Dreamcast was awesome. Yeah. Rip Sega. Except now Sega's actually more successful than ever, apparently. So.
Oh yeah, for real, yeah.
Especially with like the Atlas, because they own Atlas, so like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, and you know, Yakuza's doing well, and Sonic exists still. So. When are they bringing back Space Channel 5? Come on now.
I don't know.
Is it my turn? Whose turn? Am I the only one that didn't go? Mark didn't go.
No, I haven't gone.
Mark didn't go.
Yeah.
Mark, you go.
Yeah. My biggest gaming regret is also hardware related, but it's any time that I sold a console to buy something else.
Yeah.
Because now, as I'm a little bit older than I was, as humans are prone to do, I want to have all of the consoles that I've had before, and so I've been slowly collecting them through the years, and I feel like that's getting more and more popular to do, and so they're getting more and more expensive. And so I had to rebuy my Nintendo 64. I had to, you know, I still haven't rebought a Super NES. I had to rebuy my GameCube, and so I just keep your consoles, even if you don't play them right now. Keep them, because you will someday.
Yeah. the only Nintendo console I've ever gotten rid of was the Virtual Boy. I still have all my Nintendo consoles. I still have, except for my launch Wii, but that's because I was in an apartment fire and lost my original launch Wii. But everything else I have, like all the original stuff that I got, I still have, and I'm very grateful I never got rid of my Nintendo consoles. Now the other consoles I got rid of, and obviously like with most of the consoles being backwards compatible now, at least with the previous generation, like there's not really any hardware reason. It's more nostalgia reasons. But like, the only other consoles I have besides all my Nintendo consoles, I have a slim PS2 that I kept. I have my Xbox 360, and I have my Genesis and my Dreamcast. Those are the other consoles that I have, and it's, I'm really happy I never got rid of my Nintendo consoles, because those things are they're a pretty penny to get them back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I sold my Game Boy Color, and I kind of regret it. I also regret selling a lot of my N64 games back to GameStop back in the day to like trade up, but you get such a crappy deal on them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them at the time, I think it was, Jet Force Gemini. I wish I still kept that. Like, why would I do that? That's a rare game. Also Star Fox 64. So I ended up rebuying that because I don't know what I was thinking back then. I was just needed money for the next game. So it's a good one, Mark.
Jet Force Gemini is on Xbox on Rare Replay.
No, yeah. I was just,
in case you were nostalgic for, 7 frames a second and terrible
horrible
controls.
Camera angles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my biggest gaming regret is getting rid of, like, I mean, I did it because, sometimes you just fall into hard situations and you need money and stuff. But like, when I got rid of almost my entire PS2, Xbox, and GameCube collections of games, I've since got most of my GameCube collection back, just because that's the console I cared about the most. But yeah, it was like, man, I probably had like 50 or 60 GameCube games, and I just got rid of almost all of them.
Oh man.
And like now, like obviously games like Fire Emblem are super hard to find, and and stuff like that. So like that I regret getting rid of those. There are certain consoles that I would like to, like, I'm gonna collect for this console, at some point. But yeah, getting rid of those and getting rid of my Dreamcast games. Not all of them. Just I kept the games that I have fond memories of, but there's a few that I let get away and really regret. So, man, keep your consoles, kids. Although,
yes,
I guess
at least keep the ones that you have the fondest memories of. Do that.
Yeah. Except your iPhone 7 with Fortnite on it, you can get rid of that.
Is that what consoles are considered these days?
I don't know. I don't know. My nephew, my nephew's at that awkward age where he's like not old enough to play big kid games, but he's too big to play little kid games. He's 8, and like I'm trying to like find a way to like ease him in. And I've gotten him into Splatoon. He really loves Splatoon because it's like, a shooter, but not really. So he likes that, but he really wants to play like Fortnite. And he came over one day when I was playing Destiny. He's like, I want to play the space game. I'm like, oh God, what did I do? So yeah, kids. All right. So I guess my topic we'll hit real quick, and then we'll, get out of here. Let everybody go to bed, I guess. My topic is about emulation and kind of the legal versus moral debate on emulation that seemed to has come up lately because of Metroid Dread.
You had to bring a heavy one.
I did.
LeRon's just getting ready.
I know.
I'm just gonna let him speak for me too.
I feel like I know. I feel like everybody can go now. Everybody can go to bed. LeRon, it's the solo show. It's just like the Kotaku promoted this article, which probably shouldn't have done to promote emulation of a brand new game, but Metroid Dread is running really well on emulators at 4K, 60 frames or higher. They did the same thing with Breath of the Wild. And what, LeRon? Why are you laughing at me? I don't like it.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the statement because I know it's true.
He would know it's true.
I know it's true. But I will say this. Because the number one rule about emulating games is you have to own a copy of the game first. Guess what? I own my copy of Metroid Dread. I can do whatever the hell I want.
So I guess the debate is like, when is it okay to emulate games? When, how far back? What are your stipulations if you emulate games? Like, what do you hold yourself to the standard? Like, what do you do? Because like there's breathtaking videos of Breath of the Wild running at 8K and ray tracing and 60 frames a second, which is, I'm like, man, I just want Nintendo to build that box for me. Just let me do that.
Okay. Before I start weighing in on this, I'm not gonna get disowned from Boss Rush, right?
I don't know. It depends on what you say.
I mean, hold on. Hold on. I'm not the person in the entire fold of Boss Rush network that has the hottest takes. We know that for a fact. I don't have the hottest takes, but I just need to know for sure. Like, if I start talking about this topic,
you're actually the perfect person to talk about this topic based on.
I was about to say, I don't want to be like that scene.
Because like I want to hear what your takes is on this, just because you do have the PC to muscle this type of thing for like newer games forward and everything. So,
well, I just wanted to make sure because I didn't want to wind up being like that scene in Mean Girls. You can't sit with us, the next day.
You're fired.
Okay,
we wear pink on Wednesdays.
Okay, so first of all, like, it's not cool to pirate and emulate day one games. What is cool is if you've already purchased a legal copy of the game, then you can do whatever you want. So get that out the way right now. Now, that being said, there's a case for emulation. In the very first revamped episode of the Boss Rush podcast, Stephanie was like, "Is there a case for games preservation?" Mm-hmm. Yes. There is definitely a case for games preservation. There's also a case for people who like to tinker with technology and stuff like that. A lot of people honestly are just building emulators and stuff so that in the future, as we get further down the line, the Switch is going to be an obsolete system one day. The PS5, the PS4, the Xbox Series X, all that stuff, they're going to be obsolete systems. And there's going to be a point where just like with our phones, our tablets, our computers and stuff like that, the operating systems hit end of life. And then you can't use them anymore, and they wind up being unsupported, and stuff like that. And we either have to move on, or we have to hang on to whatever we have until it dies and stuff like that.
Before you move on with this, LeRon, I do want to say, like, this is Metroid. Well, maybe not Metroid isn't the first title, but recent titles on Switch is the first time I've actually felt like Nintendo themselves are pushing games past the hardware limits of this thing. Where, like, Metroid runs great, but like only Samus and the enemies move at 60 frames a second. You look around, that smoke runs sub 30. Some of the effects run sub 30, and this isn't something I'm just like spilling out there. Digital Foundry did a whole thing on this, right? Mm-hmm. It runs sub 900p on TV, right? It's just like Nintendo can't even keep their hardware up with the games that they're making, and they've always built hardware sustainable for Nintendo games, and we're starting to see them. And like, you look at Breath of the Wild, and some of that you can be like, yeah, well, they spent the last year porting it to a different console because it was built for the Wii U. Like, that was some people's argument. But like, as beautiful and as great of a game as Breath of the Wild was when it came out, like, that that game runs sub 20 sometimes when there's a lot of action going on, or like you set the grass on fire and there's a couple guardians chasing you down. Like it's
look at Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, what's crazy is that it's been a long time since we've seen it. The last video game system I remember seeing like slowdown was actually a Nintendo system. The Super Nintendo was the last system that I remember we dealt with slowdown because things was going on and there was too many frames for the process to keep up. So it's crazy that Nintendo has come full circle. They're back to this crap now. In my review, I wrote that the power of the hardware is shown off in Metroid Dread because it's a beautiful game.
It is.
My God,
it's Nintendo. I would argue it's Switch's best looking game outside of maybe Mario Kart, which technically is a Wii U game, but like Metroid Dread is Nintendo's best looking game.
Yeah, but I mean, geez, like 23-second loading times, especially when you just got through like either you're getting clobbered or you're chasing something and you have to hit a damn near a 30-second loading sequence to get to the next section of the game.
I feel like that stands out now more than ever because of the SSDs and the new consoles and PCs, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt. But one of the things that kind of bothered me is like I played the digital version of the game. Like the load time should be somewhat decreased, compared to the physical copies. But when I did the research, the physical copies had just as long. It was almost criminal. And, but that's just like this is the stuff right there. Like and this comes back to what I was saying about what people are trying to do with technology and stuff when it comes to emulators and stuff like that. They're trying to make in the case of these games. There's three reasons why. First reason why is because people are not 100% sure that they want to spend the money on the game. So it's always easy, and that's where emulators kind of do its thing. Like it's a try before you buy type of thing, and it's always encouraged that if you actually like the game, go back and buy it. There are a lot of people who actually follow that rule. They emulate a game, they see what they want, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go out and buy this game. I said some. I didn't say everybody does that because we all know that some people are just cheap and don't want to spend money and stuff like that. The second reason about emulators is the fact that sometimes people just don't have the commitment. And when I say they don't have the commitment to see something all the way through. They just want a taste of it and stuff like that. And emulators like fits that void. And for the most part, most people, a lot of people shoot. Like a lot of regular gamers don't beat games they start. Like, like I can't even tell you how many games are on my PS4 or my Steam library that I've started and never finished and never thought about coming back to and stuff like that. But the third reason is because people like being able to play, the games that they have the biggest fondest memories of, and that usually reaches back into the library. I don't want to make this sound bad, but the reason why a lot of people are upset about the Nintendo expansion pack is because what they're paying for right now is not what they envision themselves getting. That's what a lot of the main complaints are. The price just doesn't match what they're envisioning right now. But I'm sure as this thing rolls out, it'll be good. But one thing for me, for example, the Nintendo 64 library on the expansion pack. Nintendo 64 is not my favorite system, so I'm not really moved by this. But Sega Genesis would have moved the needle for me. The only problem is that we have to weed through a bunch of Sega Genesis games to find the ones you want to play. So there's also that thing, and that's where emulation comes. People can get exactly what they want and do whatever they want, stuff like that.
Plus, emulation, especially that 16-bit and 32, 64-bit era, licensing is a nightmare, right? And you're never going to see any of these games ever again, right? So one of my favorite franchises, especially at that era, is TMNT, right? Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, Hyperstone Heist, two of the best 2D side-scrolling beat-em-ups of all time, I would argue. It's great that we're getting a new one, right, in 6 months or whatever, but you're never going to see Turtles in Time or Hyperstone Heist in their original form ever again because of how many license holders there are, how many publishers are involved, how many, you have the comic license, you have the cartoon license, you have the Konami publishing license. Now Nickelodeon owns the license, so you have to get them involved, right? Like there's so many different people you have to get involved to the point where it's like to even if you were to sell this game outright, it would probably cost like $25 or $30 because of all the licensing fees you have to pay for in the music license, right? Like even the music is licensed out. So that's another reason I think emulation is like big, especially for games that you will never ever see on a current platform.
Yeah, and the next easiest way to do that, it's called the MAME emulator.
Yeah.
You just find the ROM and there go your memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm really passionate about emulation and stuff like that, but I'm a 46-year-old man. Like a lot of the games that I remember playing as a kid, no one's even heard about or even thought existed, in this day and age now and stuff like that. So, and your memories are what it is. Just like we have our grandparents to talk about seeing movies like Gone with the Wind, for the first time in theaters and stuff like that. There's true emotion and memory to that stuff. And, when that thing is gone, it's missed. And so I know we were talking about like the window of when like it's okay to like start emulating games and stuff like that. So I know I kind of got far into the woods on this, but basically emulators are a tool, and when it's used correctly, it's basically there to give people more nostalgia, more freedom to do what they want, and things like that. Now, going back to that, don't be pirating and emulating day one games. Don't do that. If I can understand if you're trying to pirate and emulate like the Mario 3D All Stars collection, because I think Nintendo kind of gave everybody the middle finger on that one. In my honest opinion.
Plus, like that, what is it? The Cemu emulator and the Dolphin emulator are they've made so many good strides in emulating GameCube and Wii and Wii U games on those that it's just like at this point, why wouldn't
the emulator,
you?
Yeah, the emulation versions are better than what Nintendo put out themselves and stuff like that. I'm not trying to make Nintendo the bad guy here. Because God knows, like Sony, Sega, Microsoft, they've all committed this crime to people, in some shape, form, or fashion when it comes to like the whole piracy bit and things like that.
Tomorrow morning we see a headline: hooded Japanese man comes to LeRon's house. Black man murdered in bedroom by hooded Japanese man with an NES zapper.
What are you talking about? It's going to be a case of extraordinary rendition. They're going to take me back to their country to do whatever they want.
That's how do you think Miyamoto gets his life force? He just kidnaps all the people that emulates his games.
He kills the Nintendo naysayers.
Just drains their life force.
Pikmin's based on a true story. True story.
I guarantee you the reason why my Nintendo Switch dock acts the hell up is because Nintendo's watching me and they're like, okay, he's ran his mouth a little too long. We're about to make him suffer for a little bit.
That's why you can't. That's why they just added Bluetooth so they could hear everything you're saying.
So, LeRon, you said Sony and Microsoft are also guilty of those crimes. Is it a crime? I said a crime, right?
I said it's a crime, but okay, for us gamers that would whenever these companies do something that basically rubs our knuckles and stuff, like we always feel as consumers like it's criminal, for example, actually I'm tired of using Nintendo for example. Let me use Sony as an example, right? Okay, so when the custom firmware thing was going on big time with the PSP and stuff like that, like Sony started cracking down to the point where even if you had stuff on your PSP or on your profile that wasn't in compliance with Sony entertainment and stuff like that, like you wound up like they would just brick your system. It wasn't even that you would lose access to like your PlayStation privilege and stuff like that. It would just brick your system and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of egregious in my opinion, especially if all someone is doing if they're not actually pirating software, but they're using custom firmware to make the system do something that it wasn't programmed to designed to do out the box. That's one thing. If they can't prove that you were doing something illegal with the system, why brick your system?
So I think that there's this thought that video games are so personal to people who play video games. It's so personal to them, to their life experience, right? Same thing with movies, same thing with books, same thing with music. It becomes part of our memory and a part of who we are, right?
It's our DNA. It's our DNA.
That's exactly right. But our experience with it is what we own.
Yeah.
And so if Nintendo decides that they don't want to support Earthborn anymore, that's 100% their decision to make. And I think that they're completely within their rights to make that decision. So then for people to decide, well, I don't like that decision, so I'm just going to emulate it. That's not your decision to make, is where I'm coming from. Is it a crappy decision on Nintendo's part? Yes. Does it suck that you can't play a game that you used to play growing up that you loved? Yes, it does. But I feel like we feel such a sense of entitlement and ownership over these things. But the fact of the matter is the $60 we paid to play this game does not give us ownership in the game. It gives us ownership in the memories that we made playing the game. And so I think that these companies are seen as oftentimes painted as so evil for making these decisions, when it's like, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. And so I can't fault them for putting out a crappy version of Mario 64, because they're going to do Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo Switch Online. And so that's their decision. They didn't have to put it out on the Switch.
That's true.
And so
that's true.
I just see this. I see the point of emulation for game preservation. I understand the emotion and everything tied with that. I do get that for sure. But to me, it's like, we don't own these things. We just get the privilege to play them and make memories with them. And so I don't think that, personally, I don't think that's something that people should do.
I'm glad you brought that up, because every time we purchase a video game or something, like, there's always the end user licensing agreement. And if anyone has ever, like, I'm in IT, so like I understand brick for brick, pound for pound, what the end user license agreement says is, like, the money you spent, like, you think you physically own the game, but you only spent that money to be able to play it for however long we decide to make it a thing. Mm-hmm. So servers go down and it's unplayable. Thank you for your purchase. Stuff like that.
Going back to the Mario 3D All-Star Collection, I actually have a theory about this collection. And Nintendo has a history of trying things, prototyping things and selling them to because, like, one of the things is everybody knows what Pikmin is, right? Like, everybody knows Pikmin. Mm-hmm. That game was actually spawned out of the Space World 128 Mario's demo.
Right.
Yeah. And they turned around and made a game out of it, right? Project Giant Robot, which was supposed to come out for Wii, actually turned into the Robot Labo kit. The Star Fox Zero bundle-in game was actually a Wii U prototype game that never came out. So, like, Nintendo does a lot of things to prototype, and then they turn it into a game. Maybe it's something they showed off, maybe it's not. My theory with the Mario 3D All-Stars collection is, I feel like this was Nintendo trying to nail down emulation of Nintendo 64, GameCube, and Wii games to the Switch. And they thought, hey, let's nail this down and sell it as a package. And let's see how people respond to it. And let's take what we learned from here. And if we're going to add these systems to Nintendo Switch Online someday, we already know how to do it, and this is the package that this was like the prototype package for this offering on Nintendo Switch Online. I know that Mario 64 wasn't exactly great on the All-Star collections, but that's how we played it originally, right? Like that was, for better or for worse, that's how we played it on the Nintendo 64, right? Like, and I really actually appreciate the work that they put into the GameCube, Mario Sunshine, widescreen support, you know, a lot of asset cleanup and stuff like it, and Mario Galaxy as well. But, you know, if they're putting in the work to get these things properly emulated, like I know that Nintendo 64 specifically is a system that has at least back in the day was notoriously hard to emulate. And Sega Saturn is actually another system that's notoriously hard to emulate. And if Nintendo is like really working on that emulation, which people are going to argue, yeah, these like Nintendo 64 was on the Wii and Wii U. They've already emulated it before, whatever. I'm like, that's fine, but this is a different piece of hardware. And if they're going to offer this, they need to perfect it if they're going to add it to their system and make people pay $50 for the, the online service and the expansion pack, right? So they need to make sure they get it right. So when they start adding games, when they start adding expansions and other systems to the offerings, like they know what they're doing and they know what they have. And that's just my theory. I feel like Nintendo has always been weird about emulation when they're trying it themselves, right? There was that thing on the Wii when they were selling Super Mario Brothers. It actually was an emulated version of Super Mario Brothers and not the original source code for Super Mario Brothers. But, you know, Nintendo has been, you know, always been trying to get us to somehow give them money for their old games. And I think that with this subscription model, they had to at least put out a product to say, hey, we think we got it. Hope you like Mario 64 in its original form. Again,
people complain about wanting to have preservation of old games, and then they release the old game, and people complain that they're releasing the old game, but they're complaining that they want to have the right to preserve. So,
right.
I mean, with Nintendo specifically, not to dog on Nintendo, they're damned if they do or damned if they don't, because Nintendo is perceived as a terrible company that makes really great games.
It's the mix of nostalgia.
Actually,
Plus,
I feel like Microsoft is the terrible company that makes good games.
I mean, Nintendo is just like, it's the mix of nostalgia mixed with we don't know what to do with our old games, so we're just going to resell them, mixed with, you know, the internet.
Well, yeah, but people will pay for it.
Yeah,
I will gladly pay.
Like
Mario
to
Bros.
me,
3 till the day I die on every single Nintendo system that I own.
Yeah, like to me,
wait. You know what? Super Mario 3, I will only spend money if it's Super Mario Advanced Super Mario Brothers 3. I will not buy the NES version. I will not.
No,
I will
not.
They
changed the physics in that version. It's bad.
Oh no! It plays like it's supposed to play.
No, it plays like crap. Go away. You're fired.
I am dying on the hill that the Super Mario Advance series of the Super Mario games are the ones that we were meant to play.
To be fair, I do own all of those for Game Boy Advance, and they're all very good. It's the best version of Mario 2, by the way. Is that Game Boy Advance version?
Here's the thing about it. Like, I would have jumped all over like the Nintendo expansion pack if they had Game Boy Advance.
Well, the rumor is that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance are going to be part of the $20 version at some point.
Oh, then I'll be satisfied.
So, because that's
around the corner.
Well, the rumor was that the Game Boy games were coming first before Nintendo 64.
Right.
And that's something I can't wrap my head. Everyone knows who I am. I have a 75-inch like 4K television. There's no way in hell I was going to play a
Everybody
Game Boy
knows
game.
who I am. I'm LeRon.
There's no way in hell I'm going to
Exodus
play
803.
a Game Boy game.
Social media. Follow me. Check out my muscles. I lost my sleeves, all of them. Every shirt I own. Gone.
Y'all want me to play a 68p game on a 4K television? Thank you very much. No.
Another t-shirt idea. Everybody knows.
Everybody. Everybody knows
Yo,
who I am.
that is a good T-shirt idea. Hey, merch
No.
store, boss.
Everybody knows who I am. Anonymous.
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. So to answer the original question, no one has any business emulating day one games. At least, day one games, like get it first, play it, do your thing with it, let it get past its initial. We talked about this yesterday on Crossroads, actually, because like we were talking about the value of like how do you determine the value of a game as far as pricing? Like, is a game worth $60, or is it more worth a $40 game, or is it more like a $10 game and stuff like that? We talked about that, and one of the things that factors into pricing is how much of a budget the developer spent on it, and what they think their turnaround time is going to be to make that money. And usually the window for the sales to see if they're going to make that money back is usually the first 5 months of the game being released. Usually, yeah, and stuff like that. So in situations like that, give a game a half a year before you start doing some fuckery with it.
Yeah. I mean, like a game like Metroid Dread is like, it's clearly for the hardcore fans, right? Like, it's clearly like you look at Metroid and Super Metroid, and you're like, this is a clear sequel to the NES and Super Nintendo game. Like,
you want to hear something crazy though? Metroid Dread has already outsold the highest selling Metroid game in Japan.
It's already outsold the entirety of the 2D series combined.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, good on Mercury Steam, by the way, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had such a hit.
This is kind of people didn't like.
I mean, they've had a hit or miss record, right? Starting with the Castlevania games, right? Like the Lord of Shadow.
The Lords of Shadow?
Yeah. And like, yeah, Samus Returns, like that was a good remake, right? But like, people kind of blew it off because it was on 3DS and it was a remake of the Game Boy game, right? So for them to come out and deliver, like, not just deliver, but they delivered on Dread. And like, there's so much up against that game too, right? Like Mercury Steam, hit or miss record, Dread, that name being around for 17 years, a 2D Metroid, a brand new 2D Metroid for so long. Like, they delivered. Got to give them so much credit.
By the way, as a guy that played and beat Metroid Dread, I still don't understand the name of the game.
It was it was just the name of the sequel that they teased in, I want to say Metroid Prime 3, they teased the name. And then it came up on a bunch of lists in like Nintendo Power as like the next Metroid game. Metroid Dread is coming to DS at some point, and then it just never came out. So, I mean, I don't know what the name means. It's a cool name.
It didn't scare me at all. Like, I mean,
didn't scare you at all. The enemy sections didn't make you tense.
Oh my gosh, dude, the
no,
enemies suck.
No.
Although,
yeah, exactly.
I have figured out how to counter them about half the time. So.
Yeah, me too. My record for countering them has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
But no, like see, the reason why the Emmys didn't scare me is because your very first Emmy encounter, the game told you have an opportunity to escape an Emmy attack. You had an opportunity. So I was like, so instead of me just being like, oh, I'm just gonna run from these suckers every time I see them, I was always if I got caught, I was always trying to counter them. Yeah. So it never scared me. And then like the game over scene, like getting a game over from an Emmy encounter, when you continue, it didn't even send you that far back.
No.
So it was like I lost like 15 seconds off my playtime.
I do have to say that I still don't know what button the counter button is. I just slam every single button on the controller at the same time.
I forget each time. Yeah.
So.
It's the X button.
Is it?
I had to look.
I slam every single button on the controller.
Okay, but here's the thing, because I'm not sure if I told you guys this the last time I talked about Dread. Depending on how it grabs you, if it grabs you from the left side or the right side, there's two different windows. There's two different timing windows for how you break it. I've gotten pro at breaking an Emmy encounter if it grabs me from the right. I've gotten pro at that.
Well, there's the one where it like grabs you and holds you down, and then there's one where it like picks you up. I don't know if that's Emmy specific or if that's just like, hey, this is where we caught you. type thing.
No, it's how they catch you. It's how you catch you. There's four different animations for how they catch you. And for each animation, there's two different ways to break it. Well, two different timing windows, I should say, because you got the timing window. The first timing window is when the arm tries to like grab you and pin you. The second one is when it tries to like basically spike you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Anybody else have anything to say about emulation before we kind of wrap up here? No, I don't. Don't emulate games unless they're old or unavailable. That's it. So
Just don't be a jerk.
yeah, don't be a jerk. God,
For real. For real.
That easy.
Just
Or
a good
at
rule
least-
of thumb for all things, right?
Or at
Yeah.
least,
Fair.
or at least follow the rules of convention that I said about when it comes to emulation. You have to already own a copy of the game before you can start doing whatever you want to with it. But you know, what do I know? I'm just a guy that writes reviews, hosts a podcast, and tries to play scary games during the month of October and fails at it.
you failed miserably.
11 more days.
Anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching and/or listening. Mark, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, this was awesome. I
Yeah,
had a great time.
yeah. You're welcome back anytime. Obviously, I want to play your sound effect game, so you have to come back at least one more time.
Yeah, we loved having you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Where can
Wonderful
people
talks.
Where can people find you?
On Twitter, my Twitter handle is except in Pereira, which is my last name, which is not easy to find, but because it's difficult to spell. But you spell my last name Pereira, and so it's I before E, except in Pereira because it's EI. I thought I was super clever when I came up with it, but it's way too much to explain.
Look, we all think we're clever when we come up with these Twitter names, and then you look at it 6 months later, and you're like, "What was I thinking?" And then the one you really want is gone. So,
Right.
So,
But yeah,
well-
that's where you can find me.
well, you do a great job writing and heading up the entertainment side
Thanks.
recently, and I like your marathon movie reviews. You should check it out on bossrush.net. Appreciate your time, Stephanie. Where can we find you?
Yeah, I was just gonna scold Mark. Like, yeah, you should really, promote yourself. Mark's got great articles up on the site. He writes wonderful news, banter pieces, spearheading entertainment. So catch his stuff on the site, as well as LeRon's review of Metroid Dread. He did a fantastic job. You can find me on Twitter at Klima. Oh crap! I'm so tired. I can't even remember what order my Twitter handle is. All of a sudden, my eyes twitching. That's how tired I am. At Klimov, KLIMOV _author. I also write for Boss Rush as well. Check out our website.
LeRon.
As you know what, I'll make it real easy for you. Exodus 803, EXODUS 803. That's my social media handle. That's my Twitch and YouTube channels. That's also my gamer tags on the various platforms I play and stuff like that. Just remember that. You're good to go. Twitch.tv/Exodus 803, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Crossroads PlayStation Podcast. And you guys already know I'm here Wednesday nights for the Boss Rush Podcast.
Nice. You can find me at I am CoreyNHD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast. You can find me popping in and out of Nintendo Power Block. You can find all of our content on bossrush.net. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you consume our show. And until next time, we love you.
Hold on.
My gosh.
Before we go, rest in peace to Chris Aries. You may or may not know that name, but you definitely know who he is. That was the voice of Frieza for Dragon Ball Super.
Oh,
He passed away.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
Goodbye, everybody.
So long. Take care of your loved ones.
Ciao.